right, so we are at 10 o'clock, and so we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Jones. I am a fermentation scientist at Corteva Agriscience, and I have someone else with me today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Oliveira, and I am a postdoctoral researcher at Corteva Agriscience, working with the Creative Field Scientist team.
So today we're going to do an activity called social media product launch, and we are going to be teaching you how to launch a product called chocolate broccoli. So each of you all should have seen the link for the worksheet for this activity. If you don't have the worksheet, that's okay. Just grab a pen and a paper, and I'll make sure to walk through each of the questions on the worksheet. So if you don't have it, don't panic, you're fine. We're going to go through social media. We're going to go through target audience. We'll go through messaging, and we'll go through some supply chain, logistics, and sales. And I'll tell you exactly what that means. All right. So we'll start off by talking about kind of what it takes to launch a product. So you have research and development. These are the scientists who are going to come up with the new products or the new ideas. We also have regulatory and stewardship.
Hey, Jonathan. I think before we start, we can ask them to just keep it on mute, and if they have any questions, I'll be looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, any comments during the presentation, please use the chat. We are trying to make this as much interactive as possible. So thank you.
Sorry, I missed that part. Thank you. So for launching a product, we basically have people who are going to develop the new products. We'll also have a few people who are responsible for selling the product and figuring out where we're going to grow it and move it to a new location. We'll also have people in customer service working directly with the people who buy the product and answering any questions, as well as helping to fulfill orders. So the product that you all are going to focus on today, it's called chocolate broccoli. So they're actually two plants that either smell like chocolate or taste like chocolate. So the first one is chocolate mint. You'll see it over on the right here. It's actually made in Europe and in the Middle East, and it actually smells like mint chocolate. So if you've ever had mint chocolate chip, imagine something like that. And then there's a fruit called the black zapote, and it tastes like chocolate pudding if you've ever had chocolate pudding. It actually has 4 times the amount of vitamin C than an orange. And so that's the yummy vitamin that's in your orange juice when you drink that in the morning. And it's actually made in tropical regions. So imagine that we were able to take the properties of both of these plants and put them into broccoli. And so you're probably asking, why would I want to do something like that? So go ahead and use the chat and let us know whether you like eating vegetables or healthy foods. And Michelle is going to monitor the chat. Let's see some conversation. Do you like eating your vegetables? Doesn't look like we're getting any chats. Let's see. I like vegetables. Shelby said she likes vegetables.
Depends on what vegetable it is.
Well, good. Well, not everyone likes eating their vegetables, and vegetables and fruit are full of lots of great nutrients to make your body strong and healthy. And so imagine if we were able to make vegetables taste better, because most people who don't like them don't like the way they taste. And so imagine we were able to create a product that tastes like chocolate, but was actually as nutritious as broccoli. Looks like we have some more comments, Michelle.
Yeah, somebody don't really care for raw broccoli, but they like it cooked. So.
Okay.
And Elena likes some veggies.
Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about how we would actually get chocolate broccoli. So some of the plants and vegetables and fruits that we enjoy today are actually created through crossbreeding. And so it's kind of similar to taking a red rose and putting it next to a white rose and maybe getting a pink rose. There are a few crops that are called genetically modified organisms in which we can actually take traits or products that actually help us to make the plant more viable or healthy in a particular environment. And there are only 10 of these crops. Most people think that there are hundreds, but there are only 10. And that's corn, soybean, cotton, canola, alfalfa, sugar beets, papaya, squash, apples, and potatoes. And then we also have other options to modify plants. One is mutagenesis. This actually happens in nature. So the sun actually can cause mutations to happen because of the rays in which they emit. And then also other items in the environment can cause mutations. So this is natural. And then the third is gene editing. So we can target a particular part of the code or the information that makes the plants look and taste and feel the way that they do. And so this is genetically modifying an organism. So that's what GMO is, while crossbreeding would be just putting two plants together and getting a new plant. So oranges that you enjoy today is a product of crossbreeding. There were two other plants that were bred together or grown together to make the oranges that you enjoy today. So the first area that we're going to focus on is growth. So we're going to think about, if we're launching chocolate broccoli, where would we actually grow it in the world? So this is a map of the world. And what you'll notice is that the darker the green, the more broccoli is grown in that area. So just as a point of reference, this is the United States, and we're about right here in this region. And so I'll give you a little bit of facts about the United States. So the United States is one of the world's largest producers of broccoli, as you notice from its dark green color. It produces about 2 billion pounds of broccoli every single year. In California, which is on the western coast of the United States, produces about 90% of the total broccoli of the United States. And then there's some other states, Arizona, Texas, and Oregon, that produce a fairly large amount as well. And as you notice, there are a few dark green spaces here in Northern Europe, Italy, some Northern Africa, and Far Eastern regions as well. So on your sheet or on your paper, go ahead and make note of where you think the best place to grow broccoli would be. And then also make a note of where you would actually like to sell it. So think about this. If I make broccoli in the United States, but I sell it all the way over here in China, I have to go around the world this way to get the product there. So think about where you want to produce it and where you would like to sell it. And go ahead and mark that on your sheet. And we'll give you a few seconds. And if you would like, you can use the chat feature to let us know where you think the best place to grow the broccoli and sell the broccoli would be, and why. Okay. We're going to go on to the next section. If anyone wants to comment on where they would like to grow the broccoli, feel free to call it out. All right, the next area that we're going to focus on is broccoli price. So broccoli, some of you all said you like cooked broccoli. Some people said they like fresh broccoli. So we're going to focus on the price of the broccoli. So broccoli florets are the largest part, the portion that has all of the components of the broccoli, and that's $2.36 a pound, while the head of the broccoli is $1.92 a pound, and frozen broccoli is $1.82 a pound. And you're probably wondering, why does this even matter? So when you go in the grocery store, They have to determine the price or how much they're going to sell the product for. And this determines, in some cases, whether someone would buy it or not. And so this is just regular broccoli. The broccoli that some people may think doesn't taste that well. I'm actually allergic to broccoli. So imagine if this broccoli now tastes like chocolate. How much more do you think you could sell the broccoli for? The other thing that you want to think about is if you made the broccoli in one part of the world but sold it in another, you may need to increase the price of the broccoli so that you can recoup or get back the price in shipping. So some of you may be familiar with Amazon or Amazon Prime. Don't think your broccoli is going to come through Amazon Prime. It won't be free 2-day shipping. So think about how much it'll cost to ship your broccoli and what price you would sell it for. So that's the next section of your worksheet. So go ahead and fill out the price. And there's no wrong answer here. Okay. The next area we'll focus on is the nutritional content. So this is just a sample nutritional facts sheet. You often see this on your products in the grocery store, on the side of the label. Most people don't actually know how to read this. So this actually talks about the serving size, so how much the average person would, I guess, eat as a serving, and this gives you the value of each of the components. So fat or cholesterol or sodium or salt or carbohydrates. So dietary fiber, which vegetables are, or I guess vegetables have, because of the cellulose, which is a component our body can't really process, that is what creates the fiber. It seems to be very low in sugar. So think of a gram as like a paperclip. So I'm pretty sure most of you have seen a paperclip. So imagine the little white sugar on your counter, 1 paperclip. That's how much a half a cup of broccoli has. And 3 paperclips of fiber. Lots of vitamin C, lots of vitamin A, and iron and calcium as some other vitamins. So would you think about using any of these key facts in your product launch? So maybe you think about saying it doesn't really have any fat, so it's pretty good for you. And it's not really high in sugar or sodium. So that actually makes it pretty good as well. And 25 calories is definitely not a lot. So the average person eats anywhere from 1,500 to about 2,200 calories per day. So a serving of broccoli is only 25. So you have lots of room to eat other great stuff.
And think about it, if you change the flavor of the broccoli to taste like chocolate, is it going to change the nutrition of it? That's something that you can use as well.
Good point, good point. Okay, so the last thing we'll focus on is social media. I'm pretty sure this is the part that everyone wants to focus on. Some of you all may use some of the social media apps that are featured here. So this is some data from February of this year from a company called Sensor Tower. And it talks about which of these apps are actually downloaded the most, right? And this is global. Or ones that are in the App Store if you have like an iPhone, or ones in the Google Store if you have a Google or Android device. And so most of these apps like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter, people may be familiar with, but they may not have heard Likey or Hello or VMate or Kiashu. And these apps are actually the equivalent of some of the apps that we use most often here in the United States, but they're used in countries like India and China. So think about if you were gonna launch your product, which social media app would you actually use? And so for those who aren't aware, TikTok is a video. It's about 60 seconds. That's the longest you can do. You see a lot of people dancing on TikTok, and you have a lot of viral crazes there. Facebook is actually a combination. You can use photos or videos and also include some words. Instagram, you would pretty much only be able to use a picture as your feature, but you can also include some words. And then Snapchat, as you can imagine, is just a short video. It gets deleted after a certain period of time. And so if you want your ad to remain relevant, you probably don't want it to be deleted. And then Twitter is just mostly words. And so it's going to be 260 characters. So think of a character as a letter or a space or a punctuation mark. So think about which social media app you would actually use. So we're to the end of the information portion. And so during these next 5-10 minutes, I want you all to think about what social media platform did you use and post that in the chat. Where did you choose to grow the broccoli, the chocolate broccoli? Where did you choose to sell it? What did you decide to sell it for? And then who are you selling it to? Whether parents or guardians or children. And you're probably thinking about this. So when I was a child back in the 90s, ketchup actually used to come in different colors. So it come in green and purple and red. And most people think that's pretty crazy. But the Heinz ketchup company actually did that as a way to target children because they knew if children were really interested in this cool different color ketchup, they would probably go to the grocery store with their parents or their guardians and say, hey, I want the green ketchup. Sure enough, I had the green ketchup. I also had the Lunchables. I had the Capri Suns. I had the Doritos. And it was not because the ads were targeting my parents. It was because they were targeting me. And then I would influence my parents to buy it. So think about chocolate broccoli being a healthier version of, the same health of the version of broccoli that you enjoy today, but actually tastes good. Would it be better to market it to the parents or better to market it to the children? And so let's use the chat to answer some of these questions. Michelle, if it were you, where would you, which social media app would you choose and why?
Good question. But I love images. I love taking pictures and everything. So I think I would choose Instagram.
Okay.
Just because like I've seen the Instagram from Driscoll's and they have awesome pictures of berries and things you can do with berries, like cakes and desserts, and I think that would be my marketing. Like, what can I do with the chocolate broccoli?
Okay. That's a good point. I think pictures are definitely a really great way to get people to buy products. It looks like we may have some answers from the chat.
Yes, so I have 2 here that chose TikTok, and I have somebody else that chose like Facebook or Twitter, because they see a lot of people on those apps, and the market would be children.
Okay.
Somebody else did answer that they would market both kids and parents. And so somebody chose this Facebook because they want to use both pictures and words.
That's a good point. You probably would want to use both pictures and words because probably if you look at a picture of broccoli, you're like, well, why is this so special? Why should people go buy it? So that's a really good point. For those of you who chose TikTok, I guess I have an extra question. Would you have like a song that you make for your product that kind of different people share it over and over again? Or would you do something like a dance craze where you have like a special chocolate broccoli dance that everyone's gonna do? And it looks like there's another here that says grow in the US and sell it in the US and South America because South America does not grow very much broccoli. That's a really great point, Elena. South America doesn't grow that much broccoli, and it'll be a good way to add some of the broccoli into their diet. So really great. Where else would you grow it? And then for those of you who said TikTok, give me some ideas as to how you would do your campaign on TikTok.
I think something that was very interesting that you told me before, it's the amount of people, the amount of adults and children that uses each one of these different social medias.
Mm-hmm.
And that like Facebook is mostly for adults and children are more involved with Snapchat or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So a lot of the data actually shows that more younger children and teenagers and adolescents, they're more likely to be on apps like TikTok or Snapchat or Instagram, while adults frequent like Facebook and LinkedIn. And so depending on who you're targeting, you may want to focus on a different app. So it looks like it says, I would love purple chocolate caramel healthy vegetables. I think I would like different color vegetables and different flavors as well. So I definitely agree with that. And it said I would dance on TikTok and have memes and GIFs too. So yeah, pretty cool. Definitely the GIFs would help, or GIFs. I don't know if it's GIFs or GIFs. Definitely help. And memes would definitely rotate a few times to get people interested. So maybe like a piece of broccoli dancing. Would that be your GIF?
Yeah, so somebody sent me a message here saying that they would create a song to be used on TikTok. So somebody else that was posting could use their song on their TikTok. So that's interesting.
Yep. There's one on here that says I would grow it in New Zealand because it has the darkest green. Really good. Yep. And would sell it in Australia because that's super close. So Shelby, way to think about supply chain and logistics there. So reducing that cost to ship the broccoli and also growing it in a region where there's already a lot being produced. So really great job, Shelby.
So do you think, so Shelby, do you think it's going to be cheaper to produce it in New Zealand just because it's the darkest green, or more expensive?
And just for everyone who may have forgotten the map, I'll go back to it. New Zealand, Australia. And Shelby, you don't have to be the only one to respond. If anyone else wants to, do you think it's more expensive or less expensive to grow in New Zealand versus other areas? I'll give you a hint. It's an island.
Do you think, like, okay, let's bring it up to the US. Do you think it's more expensive to produce things in Hawaii, or cheaper to produce things in Hawaii?
So Hawaii is here, right? It's an island or a series of islands. And this is the continental United States.
Yeah.
It's more expensive to produce stuff here or here.
So somebody thinks it's less expensive because they will all have a lot of other veggies growing, so it wouldn't change as much the price. Less expensive to produce in there.
So Michelle, you actually are a plant biologist, right? And so
yes,
you have some knowledge of this. So what makes it expensive or cheap to grow a particular product?
So if you think by the grower's minds, you have to, what do you need to grow a plant? You need water, you need the soil or the land, and you need fertilizer, you need pesticides, which is produced by Corteva, of course. And everything that needs to get into that island comes from the outside, besides the amount of land they have. So the land might be cheap because they already have the land, and the water, sometimes it's expensive. Like the water in California is it's expensive because they have a lot of droughts in there. But some other places like Florida, they have a lot of water and it's cheaper in that matter. So, but the growers still have to buy fertilizer and pesticides, which comes from the outside. So if you're growing on an island, it's going to get more expensive to produce it in there.
So the other thing that we talked about before we kind of wrap up is price. So what are some prices that you decided to sell your broccoli for? Maybe even say whether you're going to sell it fresh or frozen. So how much would you sell the chocolate broccoli for? I think
That's a good point.
It's like $1, right? And that's for a really tiny candy bar. Michelle, what variety of broccoli would you sell? Would you sell fresh or frozen?
I would probably produce it for the frozen one, the frozen
Okay.
broccoli. Not because this is less
Novelty.
expensive, but just because it's easier. Like I like buying frozen broccoli just because I pop it into my microwave and it's ready to go. So it's probably going to be cheaper. Like you see it in there, like it's cheaper, the price per pound is cheaper. So the grower is not going to make as much money. But the fresh ones, you have to think about pests and diseases. Have you ever been to a supermarket and saw something that's rotten out of the shell? So.
Yeah, really good point. So ease of storage, how fast does it go bad? Also, depending on how you're shipping it, maybe even actually probably shipping something frozen is a little bit more complicated than shipping something fresh. What do you think? Because you have to have it in some sort of refrigerated unit while you're shipping.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So it looks like we have a few that said they'll sell the chocolate broccoli for $1.50. So they'll probably sell it for $1.50, but probably sell it for a lower amount than a pound, probably as a treat, right? And IDK, let me know if that's not what you meant. Elena said that she would sell it for $2.99 a pound because it's both a treat and it's healthy and it's a new product, so people will want to buy it. So a really good point. So charging that surplus because it's a special product. And it looks like IDK liked Elena's. And Elena said fresh and frozen.
Yeah. Good point. I would probably sell it for more than $2.36, which is the price of the Florence, just because it has the chocolate flavor.
Yep, I think I would too. All right, so we are getting close to 10:30. So in the last 2 minutes, do you have any questions for us or anything that you would change or anything that you haven't said already? Thank you for coming, Elena.
Thank you.
Okay, well with that, that is the end of our chocolate broccoli product launch. I'll give you guys a few minutes so you can head over to your next session. It looks like we have a question from Sophia. Does chocolate broccoli actually exist? No, it actually does not exist as a product, but there are some similar products like cotton candy grapes or different fruits that are a combination of two fruits mixed together. So nope, it doesn't exist, but there are fruits and vegetables that taste and smell like chocolate already. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I hope it does too.
Okay, well, thanks everyone. Bye.